My daughter leaned close during the inn's 5th anniversary reception and whispered, "You don't belong here." Around us. Investors praised the business I had rescued with $640,000 of my retirement money, while Emily smiled as if she owned every brick. I did not argue or embarrass her in front of the guests. I simply checked my watch because at 8:15, the lender was about to open the folder I had sent that morning. Before I tell you what happened at 8:15, comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And like and subscribe if someone in your own family has ever tried to erase your contribution. Once they no longer needed your help. My name was Walter Grayson. I was 72 years old and had spent 41 years as a hotel accountant, where one misplaced decimal could cost more than a broken boiler. I wore the same Navy suit I had owned for 12 years and kept every important receipt in labeled folders. Emily saw plain clothes and a quiet voice. She forgot that I understood exactly who owned the inn, what it owed, and where every dollar had gone. The trouble had not begun with the reception. It had begun 18 months earlier, when Emily stopped calling the Blue Ridge House our inn. She started calling it my property. At first, I told myself it was harmless. Emily managed the staff, handled bookings, and appeared in every local magazine article. She worked long hours. She had earned some pride, but pride changed shape. One Monday morning in May, I arrived at the inn and found a new brass sign beside the front desk. Read it twice. The inn had nearly failed before I stepped in. I had paid off $310,000 in overdue loans, funded the renovation, and covered payroll for 11 months. Through Grayson Hospitality LLC, I owned 62%. Emily owned 23%. She came through the lobby carrying a tablet. "Do you like the new signage?" she asked. "It is not accurate." Her smile faded. "It is marketing. You are not the founder. I rebuilt the brand. We rebuilt the property." Dad. Guests do not care about legal structure. Legal structure decides who owns the building. She looked around. To make sure no staff were listening, "You always make things sound so cold. I make them sound correct." The sign stayed. 2 weeks later, my name disappeared from the website. The old About page had said the inn was restored by Walter Grayson and his daughter, Emily Mercer. The new page described Emily as a visionary owner who rescued a forgotten mountain property. I asked Daniel about it because he had hired the marketing firm. People respond better to one face, he said. Then use one face. Do not use one false story. He laughed. No one is taking anything from you, Walter. That sentence became their favorite. No one was taking anything from me. They were only removing my name, changing my access, and spending my money. In July, my keycard stopped opening the office behind the front desk. Assumed the lock was faulty. Emily was inside when I knocked. She opened the door only halfway. We changed the access. System. Why does my card not work? We limited office access to active management. I am the majority owner. You are not involved in daily operations. I review the accounts every Friday. We have an outside bookkeeper now. No one told me. You do not need to approve every small change. I looked past her and saw 3 file boxes where my monthly reports used to sit. Give me a new card. She sighed. Dad, guests see you wandering through back offices. It creates confusion. What confusion? They do not know what your role is. You could tell them. Her jaw tightened. This is exactly what I mean. You show up in old clothes, question every purchase, and make the staff nervous. I ask questions because the business owes me $640,000. It does not owe you. You invested. The operating agreement calls most of it a member loan. She lowered her voice. You always have to remind everyone that you paid. No, I remind you when you forget. She handed me a temporary visitor card. It worked only in the lobby and dining room. That Friday, the bookkeeper emailed me the expense report. Emily had spent $18,400 on imported lighting for the ballroom, $7,600 on a branding consultant, and $11,250 on a private investor weekend. There had been no investor weekend. There had been Emily's 43rd birthday. The company paid for 12 suites, dinner, music, and engraved gift boxes. I called her at 9:10 the next morning. Was your birthday charged to the inn? It was a networking event. Which investors attended? Potential investors. Name one. She went silent. Then Daniel took the phone. Walter, you have to spend money to attract the right people. You spent $11,250 on a party. It created relationships. Did it create revenue? Not yet. Expenses over $10,000. Require approval from 2 members. Emily approved. Emily is 1 member. Daniels. Voice hardened. You are slowing the business down. I am stopping it from paying for your lifestyle. He hung up. 3 days later, Emily sent me a revised management policy. Under it, she could approve expenses up to $25,000 without another signature dot at the bottom. She had written, effective immediately. I called her into the dining room before lunch service. You cannot change the operating agreement with a memo. It is not a change. It is an internal policy. It conflicts with the agreement. You always hide behind paperwork. Paperwork is what protects this place. No, Dad, I protect this place. I am here every day. And I was here before the first guest arrived. We are trying to grow. You have to trust me. I trusted you with management. That should include decisions, not decisions that rewrite ownership. She pushed back her chair. Maybe. The real problem is that you cannot stand watching me succeed. I did not answer. Immediately, then I closed the folder. Problem is not your success, Emily. It is what you think success allows you to take. By October, she stopped sending me weekly reports. By November, Daniel began meeting with lenders. They called it expansion. No one asked for my approval. The discovery came on Tuesday, November 19th, 3 days before the anniversary reception. I went to the inn at 7:40 that morning, before Emily arrived. My old key no longer opened the office, but the night clerk let me in after I showed my identification and the LLC ownership records. On the desk sat a black folder marked Ridgeline Commercial Bank Confidential. Inside was a refinancing package for $420,000. The loan would place a new mortgage against the Blue Ridge house. According to the application, the money was for ballroom improvements, guest room upgrades, and strategic business expansion. A handwritten page from Daniel told the real story. **** pay personal credit line, $96,000 ****. Replace Mercer home roof. $28,500 ****. Emily management bonus. $75,000 ****. I kept turning pages. The bank had requested proof that the members approved the debt. Emily had supplied meeting minutes dated October 28. The minutes claimed all members were present. I had not attended any meeting that day. They also claimed the refinancing had passed unanimously. My name appeared beneath the vote. Walter Grayson approved. It was not my signature. It was not even close. Then I found a second document titled Proposed Membership Restructure. It said that because Emily provided full operationality DERFs, she would receive an additional 25% ownership after the refinancing closed. My share would fall from 62% to 30-7. Daniel had written a note beside it. **** Once Walter is minority. He cannot block the sale later. ****. I stood alone in the office and felt the last of my doubt disappear. The sign in the lobby had not been vanity. The missing reports had not been carelessness. They had been preparing the story they needed people to believe before they changed the numbers. Underneath it. At 8:06. I photographed every page with my phone. Then I scanned the full folder to a flash drive I kept on my keyring. I returned each paper in the same order. Before leaving, I checked the closing schedule. The bank planned to finalize the loan at 8:30 Friday morning. The anniversary reception began at 7 that evening. Emily intended to celebrate as majority owner less than 11 hours after using my name to reduce me to a minority. Walked to my car and called Miriam Cole, the attorney who had drafted our LLC agreement 5 years earlier. I need you to review a loan package. I said, is the bank moving quickly? They are closing Friday. Does Emily know you found it? No. Keep it that way, Miriam said. Bring me the operating agreement and every page you copied. I looked back at the brass sign beside the front desk. Emily Mercer, founder and owner. By Friday, she planned to make the lie legal. I had 3 days to stop her. Miriam Cole's office overlooked Pack Square, 2 blocks from the courthouse. I arrived at 9:15 with the operating agreement. the copied loan package, 6 months of expense reports, and the photographs from my phone. Miriam read the false meeting minutes first. She did not speak until she reached the signature page. "This is not your signature," she said. "No." "Were you present on October 28th? "No." "Did anyone send you notice of a meeting?" "No." She compared the minutes with the operating agreement. "Then the vote is invalid." Before we even discussed the forgery, she turned to section 7.4 and placed her finger beneath one sentence. "Any debt secured by company real estate required written approval from members holding at least 75% of the ownership. Emily and Daniel together controlled 38%. They could not reach 75 without me. They knew that." Miriam said, "They planned to change the percentages after the loan. They planned to use the loan approval to create the authority they did not have." She read Daniel's handwritten note about making me a minority. Then she looked up. "Do you want to remove Emily as manager?" I had expected the question. Hearing it still carried weight. She is my daughter. She is also the person who submitted a false record to mortgage your property. I know. Those facts can both be true. I looked through the window at the bare November trees. Emily had worked hard for 5 years. She had filled empty rooms, hired good staff, and brought the inn back to life. None of that excused using my name. "Yes," I said. "Remove her." Miriam opened the operating agreement to section 5.2. As the holder of more than 60%. I could remove a manager for cause if that manager committed fraud, exceeded spending authority, or exposed company property to unauthorized debt. Emily had done all three. Miriam prepared a written consent instead of calling a meeting. The document listed the false minutes, the unauthorized loan application, the personal expenses, and the attempt to change ownership without proper approval. I signed it at 10:08. Emily's management authority would end as soon as the notice was delivered, but Miriam did not send it yet. "First, we stop the closing," she said. "If she learns she has been removed before the bank freezes the file, she may try to push something through." She called Ridgeline Commercial Bank and asked for the senior credit officer listed on the package, a man named Thomas Reed. Joined the call. Miriam identified herself as Counsel for Grayson Hospitality, LLC. "I am calling regarding loan application, RCB 44718, she said. "The authorization package contains false meeting minutes and an unauthorized signature." The line went silent. Thomas spoke carefully. "Are you alleging fraud?" "I am informing you that the majority owner did not approve the loan, did not attend the meeting described, and did not sign the resolution in your file. He asked to speak with me. I confirmed my date of birth, mailing address, and ownership percentage." "Mr. Grayson," he said, "did you authorize Emily Mercer to apply for this loan?" "No." "Did you approve a mortgage against the Blue Ridge house?" "No." "Did you sign the October 28th resolution?" "No." Thomas asked us to email the operating agreement, my identification, and a sworn statement. Miriam sent everything while we remained on the phone. 10:36. Thomas placed the application on legal hold. The Friday closing was canceled. No funds could be released, no lien could be recorded, and no revised document could be accepted without direct confirmation from me and the bank's legal department. Miriam asked him to preserve the entire application file, including emails, uploaded documents, and login records. He agreed. Before ending the call, Thomas said, "Mrs. Mercer is scheduled to meet our regional director during the reception Friday evening." "For what purpose?" I asked. "She requested a public announcement of the expansion financing." Emily had planned to announce the loan in front of the guests. Miriam looked at me. "Will the bank still attend?" Thomas paused. "Our regional director is already traveling to Asheville. Given the circumstances, legal may want someone there to address the file privately." "Do not warn Emily yet," Miriam said. "We will serve our notice first." Thomas did not promise secrecy, but he confirmed that the bank would communicate only through counsel until its review was complete. One door had closed. The next one was the company account. I drove to Mountain State Trust, where the inn kept its operating funds. I had been a signer since the LLC opened. The branch manager, Karen Holt, took us into a private office. I showed her the written consent removing Emily as manager. Miriam explained that Emily's spending authority ended immediately, but ordinary payroll, utility payments, And vendor checks needed to continue. We did not freeze the business. We changed who controlled it. Karen removed Emily and Daniel's online approval rights. Their company cards were suspended. Any transaction above $5,000 would require my signature and Miriam's temporary review until a professional manager could be appointed. Karen also found 2 pending payments. The first was a $24,800 deposit to a luxury furniture supplier. The second was a $17,500 consulting fee to Daniel. Mercer, do you recognize either? She asked. The furniture was never approved, I said. The consulting fee is not legitimate. Karen canceled both before they cleared. That protected $42,300. Then she printed the card activity. Emily had used the May Inn's card to pay $3,900 toward the anniversary reception, including a private champagne package and engraved crystal gifts. The reception itself was a company event, so I allowed the legitimate catering and room charges to remain. The crystal gifts were another matter. They have Emily's initials, not the Inn's, I said. Karen opened a dispute on that charge. At 12:14, Emily's company card stopped working. She still did not know Miriam's last step was the management notice. We returned to her office and prepared 3 deliveries. 1 went to Emily by certified courier. 1 went to Daniel. 1 went to the Inn's front office with instructions that financial records, passwords, contracts, and keys were to be turned over by 5 o'clock that afternoon. Miriam also drafted a temporary management resolution appointing me as acting manager until Monday. Signed it. Do you intend to run the Inn yourself? She asked. No, I intend to protect it until someone qualified can. Good. I had spent my career watching owners destroy healthy businesses because they could not separate pride from control. I would not repeat that mistake. At 1:05, the courier confirmed delivery to Emily at the Inn. My phone rang 30 seconds later. I let it ring. Then a text appeared. Dad, what did you do? Another followed. Call me now. The bank is saying the loan is delayed. I placed the phone face down. Miriam asked, do you want me to answer her? No. Let the documents answer first. At 1:22, Karen emailed confirmation that the pending payments had been canceled and the card suspended. At 1:40, Thomas emailed confirmation that the refinancing application was under legal review because of disputed authorization. At 2:03, the courier delivered the second notice to Daniel. By 2:15, the Inn's accountant had changed the software passwords and sent the current ledger directly to me. The numbers showed the business was not failing. Blue Ridge House had $286,000 in reserves and no need for a $420,000 mortgage. Emily and Daniel had not been saving the Inn. They had been using its success to solve their private problems. Miriam closed the file. You have stopped the loan, protected the accounts, and removed their authority. What do you want to do about Friday's reception? I thought about canceling it. Then I remembered the sign in the lobby, the false website, and the announcement Emily had planned with the bank. No, I said. The reception will continue. Miriam studied me. Are you sure? Yes. The guests were invited to celebrate the Inn. The Inn has done nothing wrong. And Emily? She can attend as a guest. At 4:47, Emily's access card stopped opening the management office. At 5:02, the acting manager notice was posted inside the staff room. At 5:11, she called me again. This time she left a message. Her voice was calm, but only just, you are humiliating me over a misunderstanding. We will discuss this before Friday. I saved the recording, then I drove home, placed the original operating agreement in my safe, and chose the navy suit I would wear to the reception. Emily had told the world she owned the Blue Ridge House. On Friday night, the paperwork would tell them who had been telling the truth. Friday's reception began at 7. The ballroom glowed beneath the imported lights Emily had purchased without approval. Nearly 80 guests filled the room, local business owners, travel writers, vendors, and 2 representatives from Ridgeline Commercial Bank. Emily wore a silver dress and stood near the stage. As if nothing had changed, she still greeted guests as the owner. At 7:35, she approached the bar and handed over her company card. The bartender returned a minute later. Mrs. Mercer, this card was declined. Emily lowered her voice. Run it again. I already tried twice. She pulled out a second company card. That one failed too. Daniel appeared beside her. What's wrong? The cards are frozen. He reached for his phone. Across the ballroom, I sat at a table with Miriam. I was drinking coffee and speaking with the Inn's long time. Linen supplier. Emily saw me watching. Her smile disappeared. At 7:50. She walked toward the bank's regional director, Thomas Reed. She had planned for him to announce the $420,000 expansion loan before her speech. I heard her say, "We are still making the announcement, correct?" Thomas glanced at the bank's attorney standing beside him. "No. Mrs. Mercer, the delay is temporary. The application has been withdrawn from closing." Emily's face tightened. "You cannot discuss this here. You requested that we attend." One requested an announcement. Thomas kept his voice quiet, but several nearby guests had already stopped talking. The bank cannot announce financing. That was never properly authorized. Daniel stepped between them. "This is a family ownership dispute." Thomas shook his head. "It is a documentation issue involving disputed signatures and false meeting records." The words traveled farther than Emily expected. A travel writer near the stage lowered her phone. One of the vendors looked directly at Emily. She turned toward me. "Dad, tell him there has been a misunderstanding." I placed my cup on the table. "There has not." At 8:12, the event coordinator approached Emily with the final reception invoice. "The remaining balance is $6,850, she said. "We need payment tonight." Emily handed her a personal card. The coordinator ran it at the front desk. Declined. Daniel tried his card next. Also declined. They had expected the refinancing money that morning. Without it, their personal accounts were already at their limits. At exactly 8:15, Thomas opened the folder Miriam had sent. He handed Emily a formal notice confirming that the loan application had been closed and referred for internal review. Then Miriam stood and gave the coordinator a company check for the legitimate reception balance. "The Inn will honor its obligations," she said. The coordinator accepted it. Emily stared at the check, then at the guests surrounding us. The business was still standing, only her claim to control it had collapsed. Emily waited until the last guests had left. At 9:06, she found me in the management office with Miriam. Daniel stood behind her, holding the bank's notice. "Emily, close the door. You did this in front of everyone," she said. "I stopped an unauthorized loan. You could have spoken to me privately. You applied for it privately." Her face tightened. "I built this Inn. You managed it. I gave it 5 years of my life, and I gave it $640,000. The property and my name on every guarantee." She looked at Miriam. "This is a family matter." Miriam gathered her files. "It became a legal matter when false records were submitted to a bank." Emily waited until Miriam stepped outside, then lowered her voice. "You're destroying my reputation." "No. The documents damaged your reputation. I only corrected them." Daniel placed the notice on the desk. "We were going to repay the personal expenses once the expansion increased revenue. You listed a $75,000 bonus for Emily before the loan had even closed. That was compensation for signing my name." Emily stepped closer. "Dad, think about what happens now. People will talk. The staff will lose confidence. Investors will leave. The Inn has no outside investors. You know what I mean." "I know exactly what you mean. You want me to protect the image you created, even though that image required removing me." Her voice shook. "You always wanted me to fail." "No. I wanted you to succeed without stealing authority. I never stole anything. I opened the copied loan package. You claimed I attended a meeting on October 28. She said nothing. You recorded my vote as unanimous approval." Silence. "You used a false signature, requested $420,000 against company property, planned $199,500 in personal payments, and drafted a structure that reduced my ownership from 62% to 37%. Daniel looked away. Emily's eyes filled. "We are your family." "Yes. Then how can you choose paperwork over us?" "I am choosing truth over pressure." She shook her head. You don't belong in this business anymore. You don't understand what it takes now. I stood. I understood enough to save it twice. The first time from debt. The second time from you. Her face went still. I handed her a final inventory sheet. You have until noon Monday to return the office keys, passwords, vendor files, and company equipment. After that, communication goes through Miriam. You're firing your own daughter? I removed a manager who falsified company records. She stared at me for several seconds. Waiting for me to soften, I did not. Then I opened the office door. This conversation is over. Emily. She walked past me without another word. Daniel followed. I closed the door quietly and turned the lock. By Monday afternoon. Emily returned the keys, company laptop, and every vendor file on the inventory list. She did not apologize. I did not demand one. Miriam helped me appoint a professional manager with 22 years of hotel experience. We restored the original ownership information on the website, removed the false founder sign, and required 2 signatures for any expense above $7,500. The Blue Ridge House stayed open. Bookings did not collapse. The staff did not leave. In fact, the inn finished December with its strongest holiday revenue in 3 years. Emily and I did not speak for several months. That hurt more than I admitted. She was still my daughter, and I still loved her. But love could not mean pretending a false signature was a family disagreement. I had spent years believing that being useful would guarantee respect. It did not. Some people value what you provide and slowly forget the person providing it. The night Emily whispered, "You don't belong here," she was talking about a room full of polished guests. But belonging was never about the suit I wore, how loudly I spoke, or whose name appeared on a brass sign. I belonged because I had acted with honesty, kept my promises, and protected what I had built. If someone has tried to erase your contribution after benefiting from it, remember this: staying calm does not mean surrendering your place. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe respect should never require silence.